Ladies and gentlemen, I always start hyperventilating. I can almost hear James-delingpole, a very intelligent researcher in his own right, doing the same thing, because it's so brazen. You've got these slimy con artists who, when you really read the Club of Rome documents and others, they admit this is just a way to take over property and control people. You find out the Rockefellers 110 years ago that the founder, John D., called the public scum. He wanted, quote, great wide expanses. He didn't like people. And literally this robber baron's vision, joining with royals in Europe and others that have this disdain for the public that supply them with all their wealth, they want us out of here. And yeah, that's why the media in the U.S. is like, this poor man, he had some good ideas, just went the wrong way about it. It's desperate. And James-delingpole hit the key here. He talked about how they've got our children. We've got to demand that they stop teaching these frauds to our children. James, how do we defeat these people? Because you say the Death Star has not been exploded. The Imperial fleet is still marauding. I agree the Empire's still there, but so I mean, how would you assess their damage? Because I believe, go ahead.
Sorry, I mean, you say how do we stop them indoctrinating our children? You know, I mean, there was a guy in England, I don't know whether you read this, who had to fight go to court to stop his children being shown an inconvenient truth.
And they found it was just full of baloney. The court did.
Yeah, exactly. They found lots of things wrong with the film, and but you know, the government was trying to insist that every child in Britain, compulsorily had to watch Al Gore's propaganda and lies movie. It's absolutely extraordinary. And the problem is that the things we are saying now on this show go very much against people's instincts of what is true. If you ask most people, is population a problem in the world, they will say yes, because instinctively it feels right that the more people there are, the worse things get. Actually, the history of the human species has been that the more people there are, the better things get. And, we were talking about Thomas Malthus earlier on. Thomas Malthus in 1798 wrote this book where he said that the population was soon going to outgrow the world's ability to supply it with food. In the next century, what happened? The population in Britain increased by four times. The economy grew 16 times bigger. So the fact is that, economic growth is good for us. Human ingenuity will always find a way to feed the increasing numbers of people on our planet. The richer people are, the less they have to breed. The reason people breed in Africa is that they have no money. They need children because they know some of them.
Well, now you've hit the key. The West is dying 1.3 replacement rate for every mommy and daddy. They're having 1.3 children. That's the global average from Japan to the United States. The West is dying. We need more children, not less. But instead, they're convincing women to have no children for the earth. It's insane.
Yes, exactly. You've got rich greenies like the Prince of Wales and a guy called Jonathan Porritt and so on, forming these organisations like the Optimum Population Trust. And the Optimum Population Trust believes that people should have no more than 2 children and preferably 1. The idea that in the West we need to stop breeding is madness. Our cultures are not replacing the population at a sufficient level to guarantee a decent economic future.
Well, they've done the analysis. The West is probably already deader than doornail.
Yeah.
And which makes the Rockefellers even more happy. These people are out of their minds.
Yeah, I know. But so, as you say, we have a big struggle ahead of us if we are to, because what we are saying does not seem obvious to most people. We have the facts on our side, but people, we're living in a world also where the education system, well, we've seen it in the way our children are indoctrinated by greeny teachers, but the education system is not really interested in teaching kids hard facts anymore. They prefer teaching them touchy-feely stuff about caring about polar bears and stuff.
Stay there, James. Do 5 more minutes. I want you to finish this key point. Because, yeah, the schools are nothing but giant re-education camps, giant indoctrination centers.
This is GCN, the Genesis Communications Radio Network.
Listen up, friends. This is Alex Jones with key information. The mainstream media is now admitting that we're going into a depression. Don't be dependent on the government for you and your family. You need to get your own supply of high-quality storable foods from efoodsdirect.com. They're the best company out there, the longest continually operating, with a ton of great food to choose from. It's all fresh, made on a monthly basis, not some old cruddy food they're selling you like some of the other guys. Try their new evacuation pack, a 2-week supply of delicious, easy-to-fix food. It comes with all the equipment you need to prepare it. With open talk of a strike on Iran in the next 3 months, the crisis in the Gulf, and possible evacuations, get yourself and your family ready today. The place to go is efoodsdirect.com. Go to their website online right now, efoodsdirect.com/Alex, or call 800-409-5633. Again, on the web, efoodsdirect.com/Alex, or give them a call at 800-409-5633.
Waging war on corruption. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
All right, doing 5 more minutes with james-delingpole, and I promise I'm getting to your phone calls and a bunch of other news. You know, there's been another oil well explosion, but thank God they're only reporting 1 injury, no deaths, and it doesn't look like it's leaking, so we'll continue to watch that situation. But let's go back to James Dillingpole. You were finishing up your point about schools now are all about touchy-feely, worship the government, worship socialism, be guilty if you're a Westerner. Which and then at Copenhagen, the third world showed up thinking they were going to get some freebies from the West, and they said, no, we're going to tax you too, and all the money goes to the banks, and so they pulled out. But they're really teaching the children to hate themselves. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think the bigger point I'd like to make, Alex, is that the Western civilization right now is at a crossroads. And if we go the way the Greenies want to take us, we are going to go over a precipice. And I think, it's up to America, really, to lead the way on this one. I personally believe that Obama is toast at the next election, but the presidential election. But I also believe that there is a danger that unless, we can find a replacement for Obama, we don't just want another kind of, a Me Too Republican. We need somebody who genuinely understands that big government has taken far too great a control of our lives, and that there are these organizations like the Rockefeller-Foundation, like George Soros, who are essentially controlling the lives of ordinary people. We've got to claw back our liberties. We've got to stop schools teaching this government propaganda and let schools teach children, facts again, stuff that's actually grounded in reality, not eco-propaganda. And only then, I think, can we give ourselves a decent future. Otherwise, we are in serious trouble.
You're right. And now I see stuff in England where they're saying if your parents were ever involved in crime or are poor, children are being put in databases for their bad genes. And there's also this whole eugenics arm of the Green movement where they're talking about screening you, deciding if you can have children according to your behavior, not just your genetics. And when you really scratch the surface, these people are admitted eugenicists. Yeah, well, eugenics, of course, was absolutely enormous in the first part of the 20th century, in the late 19th century. And the only reason eugenics got a bad name for itself was because of the Nazis. Otherwise, I think they'd have carried on doing it now. But if you look at some of the writings of the Greens in the 50s and the 60s, what you realise is that it never really went away. These people hate humanity. These people deify nature. For them, Gaia is the new religion. I mean, the environmentalism is the new world religion. It's replaced Christianity. It's replaced even Islam as the dominant faith of the world. And you and I, and most of your listeners, I imagine, are considered heretics. And this is a struggle we're going to have to face. We are. They would like to burn us at the stake if they could, and we need to be careful. But all we can do is speak the truth, speak truth to power, which is what your show does. Well, James, I appreciate you joining us. No, thanks for having me. No, you bet. Briefly, in 1 minute, tell us about your book, your latest book, and also the website. Yeah, well, actually, I've got a book coming out shortly, and
America in time for Christmas called 365 Ways to Drive Liberals Crazy, which is going to be published by Regnery. I've also got a book you're going to totally love coming out soon called Watermelons, in which I describe this whole massive green eco-conspiracy and explain how it's happened and what we can do about it.
That's right, watermelons, green on the outside, red on the inside. But, you know, I found it's more than a watermelon. It's green on the outside, red on the inside, and it's monopoly, capitalist, Rockefeller in the core. You know, I mean, the seeds of this are ultra-rich that want to collectivize our wealth and use government to suck it into their snouts. James-Delingpole, thank you for joining us. Look forward to talking to you when the books come out.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.